good evening. Welcome to another show of PSAI Talk Show. I welcome you all on this Friday evening when weekend has already started and you are still there. You have shown that commitment. Thank you so much for that. And we are here back with multiple stories of people from different walks of life, and that's how we get to know much more about them. So, welcome again. I am Gauri Das. I am a possibilitarian, and I am your host for this evening. I create possibilities and I help people look at the possibilities in this VUCA world. This pandemic has already amplified the challenges and the uncertainty that we had in the expedition of life, but we have to still look for opportunities and possibilities. So be with me, and I'm going to introduce you to another wonderful human being this evening. It is summer season in India, and we are reeling under scorching heat. In fact, this is the time for North Apa in India. Now, what is North Apa? No is 9 and Tapa is heat, which means 9 days of extreme heat. These are warmest day of this season. But fret not, because I am a possibilitarian and I am going to take you to Kashmir this evening. Because if not for lockdown, many of us would be in one of the hill stations. So I thought I'll take you to Kashmir. Be with me on this journey to Kashmir. This is year 1993. A young army officer with barely 2 years of experience in Indian Army decides to volunteer at Siachen glaciers. Yes, you heard it right. 2 years of experience, 18,000 feet altitude, where temperature is sub-zero and hovers between minus 15 to minus 50 degrees centigrade. The wind chill adds another layer. But the biggest problem is not this. The biggest problem is lack of oxygen. So this is how the weather is, and this particular camp where he is posted, the death rate is 1.8 per day. Yes, 1.8 per day. 1.2 of it comes from extreme weather and rest of it from enemies. This young officer is leading a troop of Jawans. Every moment is struggle for survival. The scene is full of ice, snow, bullets, and grenades. And boom, a deafening silence and multiple splinters all around. When the dust settles, there is no sign of shelter and equipments. And a moment later, one of them notices a stream of blood oozing from body of the leader of the troop. Multiple bullets have pierced his body, and the next base camp is far, far away. There is no mode of transportation at 18,000 feet altitude, and he is in urgent need of medical care. This is the scene in 1993. Now, here's a question for you. What do you think would happen next? Did the young officer get the care and medical treatment he needed? And like I said, the base camp was far away. So how he would have reached there? Do share your assumptions in comments and I will take you back to Kashmir to know if you guessed it right. But before that, let me introduce you to PSAI, Professional Speakers Associations of India. PSAI is a strong community that helps its members enhance their professional speaking career globally. We are very proud to be part of Global Speakers Federation, an umbrella organization of 17 associations from different countries including USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Malaysia, Singapore, and a few more. PSAI provides its members with comprehensive mentoring, resources, networking to share, and all that is required to hone their skills as professional speakers. We are a family of wonderful minds, brilliant minds, and beautiful hearts who help each other. We are a very closely knit family and we have a very strong message to share, and PSAI strengthens our voice. With a vision to become number one professional speakers association in India, we are empowering professional speakers to influence, thrive, and achieve excellence in this trade. We live by RITE, RITE, which stands for respect, integrity, trust, and excellence. These are the most important values that we live by. So if you have a message that can change the world and you intend to stand out in the crowd, we are here to support you. You can make a difference by being here, by connecting with these bright minds and wonderful speakers. The link to application form is available in the comments. What are you waiting for? Great. So let's be back to story of Kashmir. I'm sure you are already with your assumptions. So let me introduce you to the troop leader, Colonel Tarun Kumar, who is a force multiplier. For 25 years, he has been supporting people to understand and unleash their potential. In short, he is a growth facilitator. He works with people who are procrastinating, grappling with 3 Ds, which is doubt, delay, and deny mindset. For sure, if we can get rid of 3 Ds, we can achieve anything in our life. He helps them to emerge as a leader by overcoming their limiting beliefs and help them to scale up their performance and command the respect they rightfully deserve. Let's have some virtual drum roll and invite Colonel Tarun Kumar in the talk show.
Hi, Gauri. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Colonel Tarun, for joining us. And our audience is waiting with bated breath. What happened on that fateful day? Do share your story.
Gauri, now when you have recounted those incidents, I would be very modest about it that life was not very easy. And if we go back almost 28 years back, we can virtually understand that how breathlessness affects all of us. We are living in the times of pandemic. Now, coming back to the glacier story, a day earlier, one of my compatriots, a colleague on another post, was brutally attacked by the enemy shelling, and he attained martyrdom. We were taking a retaliatory shoot, and we caused enough damage on the enemy. However, the very next day, the fateful day when this incident happened, since morning, we were under the barrage of fire by the enemy. It was around 7:30 in the evening in the glaciated regions. Generally, you have never ever experienced nights because it's all snow around, and in the ambient night, once the moon comes out, you can see almost everything pretty clearly. So this one freak round, it landed on our post. There was hardly any space where we could have hidden ourselves from enemy shelling. And by the time dust settled, my soldiers they told me that, sir, there is a blood oozing out. And then the journey of Colonel Tarun Kumar back to base happened. We generally stay in buddy system. So we were at an isolated post which was in excess of 18,000 feet. So I, with three of my soldiers at that special observation post, were taking effective shoot against the enemy. And that is when this particular incident happened. So I had to leave two of my soldiers behind and went back with one of my soldiers because he was not letting me go all alone. Distances in the glaciated region are generally not considered in terms of kilometers, meters, but in terms of time because through a heavy sunny day, when you start walking in the snow, almost half of your body gets buried inside the snow. And with every effort, there is a lot of blood which oozes out from your wounds. After 40 minutes of this journey, we finally made it to the post which was just beyond, and I was given the requisite medical attention. There were more people, and then all those people they helped me get evacuated. By the time I got evacuated the very next day, I would say that I was lucky to be alive, and that's the beauty of the organization. I served for almost close to 3 decades. That once you get a soldier to their lap, our medical system is so beautiful that 99% of them survive, and I'm a living example of that.
Bravo, Kernel. So we are so glad we have you here, and I really loved what you said that our medical system is really very good and quickly they could support you and they could help you, and we see you here today, and that's how they support all our jawans and our troops. Kudos to them, and kudos to our defense system. So let's talk about your journey with PSAI. So from battlefield to now, Mike, how does it happen and what brought you here?
Well, Gauri, we must all understand that the universal truth is that we all have a story to tell, and mine has been no different. I started my journey of storytelling approximately 30 years back when I volunteered to visit a B.Tech college in a remote part of J&K to deliver an informative talk on Know Your Army. One thing led to another, and I graduated in talking about real life experiences and how they mold us into different beings. And that's when Force Multiplier was born. I have been always on the lookout for an engaging community of like minded, passionate people who were engrossed into the speaking domain. In fact, lots of my friends asked me, including my colleagues, to start delivering talks on a professional platform. So I searched the internet and happened to come across this wonderful word called PSAI. And there was a number, and I spoke to Kiruba, who's the founding member. Kuruba was kind enough to connect me to the Hyderabad chapter, and as they say, the rest is history. I have been with the fraternity for almost more than 2.5 years, and I would say that I'm glad to see this tribe of speakers growing. Here I came across people from diverse backgrounds with the common objective of enhancing one's professional speaking career. As a proud partner of Global Speakers Federation, an association of about 14 to 16 odd nation speaking associations or national speaking associations, what else one could ask for? The best part of this community that I really enjoy is which thrives on comprehensive nurturing, networking, mentoring, letting you get your skin in the game, and providing you an excellent platform to be a global speaker. What else one could ask for? And here I am amongst this fraternity. It's a privilege to be part of Professional Speakers Association of India.
Superb. And you and I are membership lead for our chapters as well. So you represent Hyderabad and I'm representing Mumbai, but it's a big community and we are all together in this. So what is one thing that has really been a gift for you from PSAI and that's how you are here for so long? What you would say that is one thing our audience should know if they are thinking about joining us or if they are evaluating that it is really helpful for all of us to be here. So, what would be that one thing?
The one thing that is the camaraderie, bonhomie, the bonding, the trust, the feeling of people for one another, the way they help, support, and let you grow. That is something which is phenomenal. We prefer to collaborate rather than compete. And that is something which actually gravitated me to join this wonderful community because here we are all on the same platform, treated as equals, and given almost the similar opportunities. There would be certain members who are way ahead by leaps and bounds. Some they are trying to catch up with them, and some who are starting their journey. But the opportunities afforded to each one of us is phenomenal. And that is what kept me glued to this fraternity, Gauri. I'm not lying about it. I have made some of the best friends after hanging my uniform.
Great. And I have had a pretty similar experience. So I come from corporate, I am HR professional. So for me, for example, the PowerPoints used to be death by PowerPoint. But when I joined PSAI and I got mentored by people here, very senior professionals, I really get a lot of acknowledgement on my PPTs now, the way I used to speak, and lot many things. So the overall confidence, the way you connect with people, and the relationship building is amazing in PSAI. And that's how I am loving it. I have renewed it too. And I really encourage anyone who is having a message and trying to hone their voice must be here. This is the place for you to be here if you want to spread across your message and want to take your speaking game to next level. Believe us, like Colonel Tarun said, and I am also sharing, it is an amazing place for professional speakers. Do join in, don't wait. There is a link for application form in comments. Great. So let's talk about your journey from battlefield to boardroom, Colonel Tarun. How has that transformed and how you are utilizing those learnings from battlefield to now in own your own corporate role?
Gauri, for over 3 decades, it has been my passion to help people rediscover themselves and take their lives to another level, irrespective of wherever they are, in the areas which matter most to them. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to be heard, seen, and believed. And all this is possible if you're sharing real life experiences, some case studies, and original thought provoking strategies that are easy to learn and make an astounding impact affecting the mindsets of people, those who are listening to you. I believe that we all have this potential to be a leader, but our capacity to lead is buried under our lack of belief. What we require is the right attitude supported by a robust belief system, and the world is waiting for a new leader to emerge. And the catch line always remains, do you have it in you? So, this is something which made me work out after having survived multiple splinter injuries. While I was recuperating on the hospital bed, which happens to be almost 28 years back, I was still grappling with this fact that how could one learn from these lessons? One is lucky that today his picture is not hanging on the wall and you consider yourself to be fortunate. But at the same time, what lessons that you have learned, they should be passed down the generation so that people also benefit from them. That is how I realized that when moved on to the corporate world, I realized that there were a lot of challenges which were similar in nature, and therefore the learnings also there happens to be more transferable than ever. And that is where this concept of sharing your real life experiences, because in the corporate world today there is a war, there is a lot of competition. The art of war by Sun Tzu is today being discussed in the corporate boardrooms. So why not share those experiences, and through your experiences help people improve their life, their competition, and also at the same time have tremendous amount of confidence in their abilities. And this is what led me to curating this course called Battlefield to Boardroom.
Superb. So I really loved what you said that it's battlefield, and now with COVID, this unknown expedition, which we call as life, has really become super complicated, as if it was not earlier. But now the uncertainty has become much more. So, how do you bring out opportunities? How do you bring out possibilities? Is what we have to do. And you brilliantly mentioned that how it used to happen in army. Every day was like this pandemic, and how you have to get results there. And these learnings can be really transformed and can be used in the corporate world. Amazing. With this, I'm putting forward the next question to you, that you were posted in minus 50 degrees and you must have been posted in desert also, so plus 50 degrees. How the human body adapts. And here is the question for audience on adaptability. What is your top 3 tips on adaptability? Please share in the comments. So for you, the question is, we have to adapt. Last full year was all about adaptability. What are your top 3 tips on adaptability? Please mention in the comments. Yes, Karnal.
Well, it is something that is our second nature, because one posting you are in a different sector, you are working in a totally different terrain, then you come back to a peace station. Now life in the peace station is not very simple. That is something where you have lots and lots of people trying to train you. That is the stage where actually what terminologies that you use in the corporate term, no, we unlearn and then relearn, because in the next tenure we would be going to some other station, a totally different scenario. The ground realities would be absolutely different. So peace station life is going to be very different, and that is the time when we get absolutely a very wonderful opportunity to be with our families, with our children, because that is something which we miss. But at the same time, it keeps that motivation. So most of the time when people they ask you that what keeps you going, Colonel, I say that it's not what is in front of you, but the loved ones whom you have left behind. So that is what keeps you going. And adaptability comes to you because our training curriculum, our entire concept of working through the system of surviving in a particular scenario. Like I was there from JNK, I moved to Sachin Glacier. Now in JNK, you are fighting insurgents, you're fighting people, our own brethren. You don't know where the enemy is when you're passing through a crowded area. And all of a sudden, you get into a situation where you know that now enemy is across the border, so you have to adapt yourself to these changing requirements. And everything is because of your team and the trust that is prevalent amongst this team.
Super. That's the super mantra for adaptability. And like we discussed that it's not about adaptability of body. Human body is such that it would be able to, everything lies here. If our mindset is of adaptability, there will not be any challenge in doing that. So that's beautifully put. And we have a comment from Kumar Achanda who says that my three top tips for adaptability are changing mindset. Yes, Kumar, we connect there because all of us are talking about mindset here, and that's what leads to adaptability. It's not about our bodies. Finding meaning in life. Totally spot on Kumar, because purpose, our why, is what keeps us running, keeps us going. Otherwise, we have nothing in life if there is no purpose, no goal. And let go of regrets. Amazing. So thank you so much, Kumar. We really loved your top three mantras of adaptability, and I'm sure all our audience are listening and they will become much more adaptable with you. Prabha has mentioned think creatively, set small goals, and embrace change and learning. Amazing, Prabha. Thank you so much for it. And here comes the next question to you, Kernel, that what about trust? That is one thing which is missing in corporates. And here, people are competing with each other, they are not collaborating. But in army, it is totally different. Like you mentioned, that there is a buddy system, and your buddy will never leave you, even at the cost of their own lives. So, what can be done to bring in that trust into corporates and in our lives, in civil lives beyond army? Over to you.
Gauri, everything hinges around the concept of upbringing. So the first and the foremost, it is something like no, chota muh badi baat, but there is something which I'm very passionate about, and that is one word. We'll not deliberate much on it. That is called national character. But we'll leave it at that. When we talk about trust, this particular trust is built into our upbringing when we join from the CV street, get into the academies. In the academy, you are not someone special, you might be anybody's son. You go through each and every rigors of training with the same gust, josh, and the mindset that is expected of a soldier. Tomorrow I am going to lead men into battle. I must be better than them. Then only I can expect them to do something for the motherland. Now, trust is a very simple word with depth that is unparalleled. It sounds easy, but to me, it is a very complex. A lot of people they keep on asking me that, Colonel, how do army people have this tremendous amount of trust? Army
Yes.
functioning hinges on leadership, which ultimately translates into creating conditions of trust within an organization. It is as simple as that. Good leaders are trusted by followers. Leaders take organizations past level that the science of management says as impossible. So we must understand that trust doesn't come to you overnight. There is no magic potion which I can ask somebody to go, pay a lot of money, gulp it down, and tomorrow you are trustworthy. No, trust is a function of two things: character and competence. Character includes your integrity, your motive, your intent with people, whereas your competence includes your capabilities, your skills, and how your track record has been. And both are vital for you to be considered as trustworthy. Now, when people ask about that, how do you trust people? Trust is some kind of a thing that I have to trust my men for they to start trusting me. I can't be expecting that, Gauri, first you start trusting me, then I'll start trusting you. It is starting with me. So I start trusting the other, and if I'm lucky, the trust would be maintained. If I'm not lucky, then I've learned my lesson. And the same thing applies in the civil street. Unfortunately, the conditions which are there, they are very different from the conditions which are there in the armed forces. When you are sweating, when there are bullets whizzing past around you, you have no other option but to cover each other's back. And probably that is the time when you learn that how important is it is to grow and progress together. You must give your men the freedom to grow and participate and contribute in the growth of the organization. Remember, if you want your boat to sail smoothly, make sure there are no holes. And trust is one such thing. If that hole is there, you're sure to sink.
Wow, very well put. It's a whole which will make everything sink. And for me, I am a human being and I connect with another human being. And the connect comes when I realize that the person next to me is a human. And if they are at senior levels, then it is even more important that they show vulnerability because vulnerability leads to this feeling that it's a shared experiences. I have some challenges, I don't know everything, and even my leader doesn't know. So in organizations, when people at the top start showing that vulnerability and they lead from example, it percolates down to the whole system and the culture becomes trustworthy. Amazing. So before I bring up the next question to you, I have a question for audience here. And for our viewers, the question is, what is one thing that fascinates you about Indian Army? Many of us would have seen those dreams that we would be there. But what is one thing that really fascinates you about Indian Army? Please put it in the comments. And we would talk about values, Kernel, because we talk about all 8 dimensions of wellness. And we do understand that it's not physical or emotional, it's also about that spiritual wellness. Many a times we don't understand that it's value conflict. We take a decision and we feel there's something which is not right. But it took me a very long time to understand that this not right comes from a value conflict because values are our guiding principles and they take us where we are today and they guide us for future also. So what is your experience with values? What are your most important values and how you experience that you had them, applied them in Indian Army? And was there any change when you moved? Because value system do change, the core values will not change, but other values will keep on changing. So how was that transition or what are the values that you live for?
Gauri, the value system in the Indian Army and the value system of the society from where we come from, there is no major difference. Ultimately, we are the feathers of the same flock. The issue is that which is that value system that you are so hooked on to. Most of us, in our exuberance to grow, outgrow, we all have heard about that story, no? About that athlete who used to go for that early morning run. And one fine day, he found that somebody ahead of him was running at a very good pace. So he thought of beating him. And in his exuberance to beat him, he missed out the turn from where he had to go back home. And by the time he realized, he was 6 kilometers away from the turning point. So most of the time, we get so engrossed in our competitive spirit that we realize that values, ethics, morals, these are the three pillars which define a human being. Now, army as an organization or the armed forces, because army is part of these armed forces, and we take pride in being a robust tricolor nation, and the services, the tri services, which have almost similar value systems. So, your ethics, your values, and your morals, they have been passed down to us from our elders, from our parents. And from there, when we go into these academies where nurturing of talent is being done and people are being asked to exhibit certain characteristics which are predominantly required in a soldier, everything, the entire curriculum is so structured, the training is so structured that it will bring out those factors, it will bring out those values. You will start believing in the buddy system. You know that a lot of people ask me that winning and losing is a part and parcel of the game. But, Colonel, what makes people go and sacrifice their lives on the border? I told them, when you are on the border, good, bad, ugly, please accept it that you are not thinking about what's ahead of you or whom you have left behind. But the most important thing is who is to the right of you and who is to the left of you. The people, those who are in your close connect, soldiers who trust you with their lives, you are responsible for them, and you will ensure that each and every soldier goes back to his family safe and sound. That is what keeps you going. It's not the anguish against the enemy. You don't want to sort out the enemy. What you want to sort out is that my soldier should be safe. I have always followed this thing: let my enemy die for his country. I will live for my country.
Superb. And I'm taking away that failure and success are part of life. That's the most important takeaway, and it's most important need for today as well, because like we discussed, that pandemic has created such a challenge for everybody that we are staring at failures many a times, and we are not considering them as stepping stones. So I'm sure with what you said, our viewers will have this takeaway that failures are just a route to success, they are ladder to success. Let's see what our viewers have to say on one thing that fascinates them about Indian Army, and I'm sure you will be happy about the responses. So Kumar again, and he says, one thing, karo ya maro. Absolutely on spot, Kumar. Discipline is what Rajesh says. Prabha says camaraderie. You also mentioned it multiple times. For Narendra, it's integrity. For Nija, it's secular nature of Indian Army. For Koka, it's country before self. That's what you mentioned. For Prabha, it's also a regimental system. And Chandar, values are moral compass. Thank you so much, everyone. The comments are pouring in. We don't have time at this moment to read them all, but I'm going to come back to Facebook and read them all. Thank you so much, everyone. Now it's time for some fun, and it's rapid fire for you, Colonel.
Okay.
So, first question is, if you could talk in sleep, what would you say? And audience, you
Generally,
can try this too.
if I talk in sleep, I generally say that, oh, I'm so lucky to be alive.
Wow, that's an expression of gratitude to the highest level. Thank you so much for sharing that. Top five tools that are required in business of professional speaking. What are your picks, Colonel?
My picks are that you have to be honest, you have to be current, you have to have a connect. So you have to exhibit empathy. At the same time, you have to ensure that your content is very relevant to the subject. And finally, you have to bring about a little amount of humor. You have to engage the audience and be ready with a couple of stories. Be a raconteur, be a amazing storyteller, and engross the audience with your skills.
Sorry, there was some disturbance and I missed it, but I could pick up empathy, storytelling, relevance. Amazing. Thank you so much, Colonel, once again. On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool are you and why?
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I generally, my wife says that she rates me around 9, 9.5. She says that what is going to take you, know, and when is this volcano going to erupt? I generally find that we are in a concept of reacting. I am a person who loves to sleep on the problems, not because I don't want to take action, but when the next day morning when I get up, I find a different perspective. Most of the time we are engrossed in our emotional outburst. As human beings, we are pretty emotional. 85% of our decision making is emotional, only 15% is logical. So when we are so emotional, why should you take a decision, no, which is purely based on emotions, although emotions play a very major role? So if the decision is going to be pretty tough and it requires that kind of intervention, I would rather sleep over it. And I would not like to exhibit. And if I'm angry or if something, I generally count to 10.
Great. So, what I am hearing is it's responding rather than reacting that makes you super cool. Viewer, please do mention what makes you cool while I take forward this conversation. What is the strangest thing that you have ever eaten?
Oh, the strangest thing that I've ever eaten is a snake.
Snail. Snake.
Yeah, snake. Actually, part of a jungle warfare exercise, we are supposed to catch a snake. And amongst the 400 odd gentlemen cadets, I was the only one who didn't raise the hand, and my instructors saw me only. And I was asked to firstly catch that snake, which happened to be a cobra. So that was my first encounter with a snake. And later on, once I obviously we didn't kill that particular snake, but then we were asked and taken to the place where we were supposed to be, because you have to survive in the jungle, and in jungle you have to live off the land. So you have to get acquainted with that, how you're going to survive and what kind of flora, fauna, animals that you can make use of to survive. So that was an interesting concept, and I think I haven't developed a taste for snakes, but that was something which actually still sends shivers.
Yeah, that's absolutely thrilling. And for a vegetarian like me, it's so let us look at what audience has to say about their cool quotient. And they say cool kernel. Yeah, definitely if your wife rates you 9.5, you have to be super cool. And all our viewers are definitely super duper cool. Thank you so much, viewers. And finally, what does 1 hour before a keynote look like for you?
A 1 hour keynote. 1 hour
1 hour
keynote.
before a keynote. Yeah.
1 hour before a keynote is, I think, the most difficult time. One would be having a lot of churning in the stomach. You would be really grappling, trying to overcome your fears, probably facing an audience who would be expecting, and you don't know what those expectations levels would be. In fact, 1 hour before the keynote is something akin to you just about to jump from a plane. So the feeling would be almost identical if I draw a parallel with the army kind of a scenario. So you would be feeling almost the same kind of things, no? Some tugs and twists in your stomach, cramps probably, and looking at, I just hope everything goes right. The mic doesn't give away, or the my PPT works, or there is something which doesn't happen, because do certain things happen at the most inopportune time? I have a big yes for it.
Yeah, the way it happened with me today in the beginning, my system hanged and I was not able to move forward. And then I got out also. Yeah, and that's how it happens. So I wish this conversation would have continued for much more longer time, but we have a time restriction. Nevertheless, we will take one question from viewers, and the question is, what is your view, Colonel, on NDA becoming co-education?
Oh, wonderful. The, the problem is not about NDA becoming co-education institute. The thing is that where you are going to have these ladies involved. We already have Officers Training Academy at Chennai, which is a co-ed. So if we have these number of lady cadets coming and joining army as an officer, I would say it would be wonderful because I am a big person in favor of equality, and also I feel that it is just that God has created us different. We all have almost similar passions, similar kind of abilities, and we must work on each other's strength. So, women are good in certain aspects, men are good in certain aspects. And when we were in the army, we always worked on each other's strength and we covered each other's shortcomings. So, in the instant scenario that you are talking about, the decision is still with the government, but it would be a welcome step, and it is going to be a big step in breaking the glass ceiling, I would say.
Thank you so much. It's great to listen to this that there are possibilities and it might happen very soon. But as you said, the decision rests with government. So let's look forward for the best. And with this, I would like to thank you for being here. And it was a lovely conversation. I really loved your battlefield to boardroom. Thank you so much once again.
Gauri, it was a pleasure. And in fact, it is always a pleasure to interact with like minded people. Thanks for everything. And PSAI rocks.
Thank you so much. So, viewers, this was Kardal for us, and I'm sure you love this conversation and you love each and every conversation that we bring here. But do you know who takes care of backend? We have a backend team, which is an amazing team, and I would like to invite Ainan Shahidi from backend team now. Ainan, Ainan, I can't hear you.
Wow, wow, wow. I said, wow, it was such a fascinating talk, Gauri. I must congratulate you for leading it in a perfect way. Cool kernel. That's amazing. Cool kernel. A soldier is always a soldier, and Colonel Tarun has proved it. He is a multifaceted, dynamic personality. And, I envy him sometimes, like I was looking forward to be part of NDA and then CDS, but somehow luck did not favor me. But then I always appreciate and respect people who are serving the nation. They are the people who are above we commoners. As he mentioned that his story from battlefield to boardroom, amazing. He's a battle survivor. He's an author, professional speaker. So many qualities he has. That's amazing. One thing which I remember mentioning is you asked him that what was the first thing which you remember when you get up in the morning? He said that thanks that I am alive. And that's coming out from a soldier, a brave man. Still grateful to the creator. That's lovely. So that's wonderful. And as he mentioned in his speaking journey, he talks about his speech from in Jammu and Kashmir, and then his interest, his initiative to contact PSAI, President Kiruba. All these things show that Colonel Tarun is a man of grit, and he always takes risk, and he wants to go ahead in life. That's fascinating. And above all, he is a philanthropist. What else I say about him? Very impressive, and I am really thankful to listen to Colonel Tarun today. Thank you so much, Gauri.
Yeah, thanks, Ainan. And would you like to guide our viewers on membership?
Yes, 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 yes. As Kumar also mentioned that if you speak and you want to make it your profession as a speaker, PSAI is a right place. So, ladies and gentlemen, whomsoever are listening to this particular conversation, PSAI platform is waiting for all of you. We have got a wonderful family wherein you are welcome. We were there as a support to you. And membership of PSAI is a prestigious membership. Come on, be a part of the elite group of India, which is dedicated to bring a huge amount of changes and improvements in the realm of professional speaking. So come on, let's get in the boat now. Thank you, dear.
Superb. Thank you so much, Ainan, and thank you so much, our lovely viewers. Thank you once again for being here week on week and enjoying the show with us. Thank you. Happy weekend to all of you. Taking your leave. Bye. Thank you.